Testing, testing, testing. JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. April 19th, 2023. Just getting on really quick. Some of the names I've already talked about this week, so I don't want to just regurgitate what I've been talking about, especially on VKTX and WW. But finally went and got the Weight Watcher calls this morning. Well, not this morning, just a little while ago. I was watching it at the open, almost pulled the trigger, found some weakness once it hit, I think it was 857, came all the way back under 820. And then the more I look, the more I think this can trade up into the 10, 11, 12 range in a very short period of time. The hype around all these weight loss drugs and obesity drugs and the diabetes treatments that are turning into obesity drugs, it's just heating up. Just the more I look around, do research, the more you start seeing people talk about it. You see, more ads, more. Just it's. I think it's still in the early innings, and you take a look at Weight Watchers, what they did with their sequence acquisition. I think they're taking advantage of. They're getting ahead of the market as opposed to being behind. You start looking at some of these names that are selling off. I haven't even looked at Medifast today. Ticker MED. Well, it's down to 95, 91. But some of those names you have to think are going to be impacted when you have these programs that you have a coach. So Medifast was one of my top stocks maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It actually went on a tear. I think it was $100 went up. I'd have to look, but it was up like 35 or 40% in a very short period of time. It's a great story, fundamentally sound, growing leaps and bounds, but their premise is you need a coach. They tailor a program for you. It's your diet, exercise, all that fun stuff. But when you have a pill that can kind of get you somewhat, I won't call it healthy, but able to, especially if you're overweight, help take some of that off, and then you find a program on your own, or you use a Peloton or whatever that may look like. I think some of those names that have done well over the years are probably going to start to move to the wayside. And if you take a look at Weight Watchers, they already have a large member base. They have a large scale. They can integrate the sequence company into their program. It just makes sense, and it's a bad way to put it. But are they drug dealers now? So I think it trades much higher than where it is now. I missed out on the move last week, but the more I start looking at VKTX and you see what's happened with LLY, and just all these analysts coming out, seems like every couple of weeks raising the total addressable market for the weight loss drug sector going out to 2030, 2031. I think the last one was 100 billion. Just it's a huge market, and I think there's going to be impacts on the other side when there's something that disrupts a sector, and health is a huge sector, right? Obesity, huge market. Yeah. So when you see a stock like Weight Watcher, I think the market cap's 500 and something million. Well, it was yesterday. Does over $1 billion in sales already. So I'm not saying it needs to trade one-time sales or anything like that, but I just think there's an opportunity. So that's why I went and got the calls. I don't want to be sitting here watching gap the next day and the next day as FOMO starts to kick in. So I mean, it looks strong today. Might close over 9, which would be impressive. So that's one. Number two, and I had the Netflix calls last week. I was looking for some premium build into earnings. I was hoping not to have to. Well, not to have to, but was not looking to hold all of the calls into earnings. Sure enough, Netflix fizzled. Bounced around yesterday. My calls were cut in half, so I just held on to them because there's been some historically large moves in Netflix. Didn't want to be on sidelines, close out a losing position, only to see it go up 10, 15, 20% or more. Netflix reports a mixed bag of earnings after the close. So their subs missed some analyst estimates, their sub growth. Their guidance was a little weak. Stock all the way down to 292, and then just bounced all the way up. I think was green for a little bit in the after-hour session, and now it's bouncing around here in the 320s. Tough to trade here. I'll probably, not that I've traded Netflix much over the last year or so, but I'll probably take it off the watch list for a little bit. I thought Roku might be a nice sympathy trade play. That's not panning out, so I'll probably sit on the sidelines for that. Maybe look for something for premium build for Roku into earnings when they report, and I think it's in 2 weeks for them. I keep looking at Align. So Align reports earnings. I'll have to get the date. But they announced an accelerated stock purchase program at I think the first week of the year, and it was set to conclude on April 26th. So depending on how much they've already bought back, the whole allotment's going to be acquired by April 26th. So if there's still some shares that they have to go out and acquire, it could boost the stock into earnings. So I was watching it yesterday. I think it went up to 356, sold off into the close. Here it is bouncing again. Maybe some lottos tomorrow or Friday to play for a move into the 360s. Another name, you take a look. I think 360, I have to pull up my chart. Let's see if I can get it here. Is the, yeah, why don't I just pull this up? Is the big spot. And if it gets through 360, it's off to the races. Let's see if I can get it up here. And I can't pull this because it's not working. Yeah. And I think that's its earnings gap at 360. So anyway, so that's a line. Not much else to add there. DXCM getting lucky here. Got those 120s. Turned around after I got them on Monday. Yesterday just fizzled, really did nothing. Had a late day surge to close at like 118.90 or something like that. And here it is up at 122. I don't know if Intuitive Surgical earnings have anything to do it, helping some of the med tech space. It's possible. Tandem's up today. So I don't know. Did Tandem have an upgrade? So I don't know if that's it. Let's see. Because that's up 3% today. And Pod's barely up. So I already locked some in to cover some of the costs. I'll probably hold the rest into tomorrow as long as it holds maybe 121 if there's any weakness. But a name got upgraded on Monday. I think it's a great story. Might trade up to 125 or so. I was looking at Abbott. So Abbott's one of those names, got the big boost with COVID. So they huge revenue growth because of the COVID tests. Then you start looking at earnings, and if you look at their earnings from a glance, you're like, wow, horrible year-over-year decline, massive decline in revenues, earnings. But then you kind of like peel back the onion and you remove the COVID test, and it actually was a solid quarter. They also had that situation with the formula, right? They had to recall formula because of, I forget the exact what was in it, or was it contamination or what have you. So I think there were some fines from the FDA or the food and I think it was the FDA that fined them. But now it looks like they've kind of found some footing. Folks probably getting back to buying their products. Just, when you're your mom or dad buying formula for your kid, usually when you hear something, contamination or things like that, you can move to a different brand. So maybe that's kind of in the rearview mirror. So Abbott, I think it was in the last time it moved this big. It's August 2020. And I remember it was a similar spot. Let's see if I can pull up the chart. But that was with COVID. But it ran for like 3 days, and I think it was 110 and went all the way to 125. Let's see if I can find it. I could probably pull up the date by date, right? Fill the chart by date. Come on. Let's just do select start, and I'll go to 2020, right? Let's do May 2020 to August 2020, right? No, let's do September 2020. Just put it here. Yeah. Oh, gapped up. Oh, maybe it was 100 to 10. It was 95 to 107. Why? How do I have the dates wrong? Anyway. So definitely a name that the calls are inexpensive because it's not one of those names that moves 6% normally, right? Now it's up 7%. So maybe if there's some follow through tomorrow, there was maybe 114s, 115s. Let me see what those are. I was looking before, they were like 8 cents. So even some into next week, right? The 116s are, well, the spread's wide, so it's 5 by 16. That won't be fun unless it really continues. Let's see here. Yeah, 115s are 7 by 10. So I'll see how, if it, maybe by the noon hour, if it's over 112, I might look to get some lottos to play into Friday. That's that on Abbott. Tesla after the close, lots of those bears on Tesla patting their back, like they always do. The same bears who were bearish at 200 before the split, thousands of percent ago, come out today patting themselves. Tesla's down 40% from its highs, but no, it's up. It's still up 2,000% since you've been short. It's gonna be interesting. Was it 6 price cuts as of late. I'm sure that they're going to report another monster quarter. It's just how the market reacts to it. It's not a name I trade too much right here, so I'll probably pass. But certainly could help the Nasdaq and build confidence in some of these other names, especially tech names and things like that into next week when some of the bigger names start reporting. Yeah, pool reports tomorrow. You know, and it's it hasn't really done much recently. So great story. I've said it before. The install base for pool has grown leaps and bounds because of COVID. So everybody wanted to have their vacation spot in the backyard. Then once you have that pool installed, then you're gonna have someone who's gonna do maintenance on it. Sometimes weekly, monthly. So there's your recurring revenue. So the more install base you have, the more recurring revenue you have, and the recurring revenue is your high margin revenue. So just a great story. Just the spreads are wide, and now the 400s are they back to the 0 by 20. The spreads are tough. Even if it beats maybe 370, so I'll probably just hold off and maybe I'll try and play it tomorrow. SSYS, another tough one. I thought got up to 1650, then it had that big fade, started to bounce off of 15. I think it's a good news that they're spurning these offers from NNDM. I thought it would rally even more. There's issues with that company anyway, and then DN. And the other thing is SSYS has a poison pill. So even if they want to do a tender offer for SSYS now at $18, they're not going to be able. They have to go to the Israeli government because SSYS is an Israeli company that trades on the U.S. exchange. Yeah. So still have those May strikes. I'm hopeful that it continues to rally. They'll have earnings. Oh, news out this morning. Court rules that Nano Dimensions Board has full authority to proceed with the SSYS transaction. Oh, interesting. I'm surprised SSYS not up a little bit more. Just because that kind of puts a floor at $18 if they do go through with it. Let's see when the earnings are going to be. Oh, probably not until June. So it's not going to encompass the May strikes. What are you going to do? Carlytics back over $7. Huge spot for it. If it stays over 7, close over 7, I think it's off to the races. 8, 9, $10. Name was needlessly beaten up on last Friday with the retail sales numbers. And just as a whole, the travel's coming back, the brick and mortar's coming back, people going out to eat, and this is all things that Carlytics benefits from. The more traffic, the more people spending money, the more revenue they have, the more advertisers and partners that they're going to spend money on the Carlytics platform. I think it's just a great story. I'm just surprised it trades down here. I think that's it. I'm trying to think of some other names. Unfortunately, Cigna, the last of the calls aren't going to pay out. All the way down to 251 this morning. That was a tough one, though. I was lucky to get some out profits to cover the costs. What else do I have here? Edit keeps churning. It almost looked like it was going to break out yesterday, then faded down to $8. It's right here at $7.90. Still like that one. Yeah, SMG showed some life. Now it's down here at $73. That's another disappointing. Still have a few inroads. That one just churning here between 36 and 37 after they raised guidance. Hopefully, maybe in the next day or two, it can get a bid, get up near 40. That'd be nice. Still the 35s. And then Sage. So, I talk about Sage way too much. Just a great story. And, at some point, I think Biogen's going to buy the rest of the stake. Nice rally yesterday. Gave me some hopes. Here it is. You're just pretty much flatlining since the open, up 6 cents. Of course, it'll wait till the 50s expire on Friday, and then it'll run up on Monday. So I'll probably add some calls on Friday into next month. Just a great story in my opinion. And then last but not least, Madrigal, and I talked about it yesterday. Just the spreads are tough. I was looking to add some calls Monday. Looked at the 300s. Stocks trading at the 250s. The 300s were trading at $1 pretty much. So the risk reward didn't jive us. Made sure enough they come out with that breakthrough designation from the FDA. If anything, it just bodes well for VKTX. And at some point within the next month, it could be any day now, VKTX is going to announce their data on the NASH. I think that's just going to be the nail in the coffin for the shorts. And then that'll trade into the 30s, pending anything crazy. And that's it, folks. But you never know. So that's why I'm as things head up, I'm locking some in. At some point, I'll lock some of my June strikes in just to cover costs, and then I might look out into July, maybe some with 35s. And if it keeps going, they'll just keep adding more strikes to the upside. So 35s, 40s, 45s. Once those get added, maybe I'll just add those as speculative buyout calls, just in case someone comes in and looks to buy them out. Just doesn't make sense with all this hype. VKTX's diabetes, metabolic drug, they call it, their obesity drug is based just on that data that just came out. I mean, it's early stage. They're still way behind in regards to the phase 3 study and things like that. But it almost looks better than LLY's drug, and LLY's drug is going to be the best when it hits the market soon. So, you take a look at the ones that are already on the market, and I think Ozempic is 5. I have to look at this. Let's see if I have it. Mounjaro, I guess. How do you tirzepatide? I don't even know how to pronounce it. Mounjaro. It's like a less than 5% weight loss, and VKTX is substantially better. So once VKTX comes out, it's going to be right in competition with LLY. If nothing's ever guaranteed or certain, but just based on preliminary stuff. I mean, just good news all around. That's it, folks. I'll try and get on the audio later. Who else? Tesla, IBM after the close. I always look at IBM, but it always tends to disappoint. One of these days it rights the ship, and I think last earnings it ran up, but not enough for the calls. Still seems like there's a lot of folks negative on the name, so I'll probably just pass on that one. But they report. Who else after the close? Las Vegas Sands reports after the close. You have Alcoa, FFIV. FFIV has had some volatile moves. So Calix, one of my top 5 stocks for 2023, which has just been horrible. They report after the close today. Not sure I'll trade that one. I'm sure they're going to report great earnings, but it's such a vague, their business model is so vague, it's very hard to kind of wrap your head around exactly what they do, although they generate great revenue and profit and growth. So I think that's some of the concern. So that's kind of wait and see. Tomorrow's in the morning, American Express, TSM, after the close PPG, which could move Sherwin-Williams. So that could be a name to watch. Seagate, STX. And that's about it. Yeah, PG on Friday. And then next week is where the rubber hits the road, and then you start getting some of the bigger names. I think it's Amazon, Google, and all those names report. Let's see. Do I have them here? Yeah. Anyway. All right, folks. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.